Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beach. Today, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is meeting the RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat in Gorakhpur today on the sidelines of an RSS function. Now, the optics of this moment is very significant because it comes in the backdrop of a series of statements coming in from Bhagwat himself, where he made a veiled attack on BJP's performance in the Lok Sabha polls. He made a mention of Manipur. After that, we saw an article written by Ratan Sharda, who is another RSS researcher, and that article featured in the RSS Mouthpiece organizer. Yesterday, we saw Indresh Kumar also speaking against the BJP and also about the performance of the BJP in the Lok Sabha elections. So, why is RSS making these kind of statements? Is there some kind of a churning happening within the RSS? And then the next big question is, is RSS trying to put a tight leash on the Modi government? And what could be transpiring between Yogi Adityanath and RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat? That is also something to ponder about. We have with us our special panel. Renowned historian Mridula Mukherjee joins us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining. We have Professor Ajay Gudavarti, who's from the Center of Political Studies, JNU. He's someone who studied the social movements, political philosophy. Thank you so much, Professor Gudavarti, for joining. We have Pushpraj Deshpande, who's the author of Bharat Jodo Yatra, someone who works closely with the India Alliance. Thank you so much, Pushpraj, for joining. And I'd like to begin with Professor Ajay Gudavarti. Professor Gudavarti, what would you really make of these statements coming from Mohan Bhagwat, Indresh Kumar, the article which appeared in RSS Organizer, and now that Yogi Adityanath and Mohan Bhagwat are meeting on the sidelines of an RSS event?
As I was saying, Neelu, this is really, I see it as a red herring of the RSS. This has been their long-term tradition. If they really walk the talk, this is a very sensible intervention that RSS is making in terms of taking no stock of Mr. Modi's performance in the last 10 years. But even as we discuss that, we also need to raise the question, what has RSS been doing in the last 10 years? If they really felt this regime represented a certain kind of arrogance, if they represented a certain kind of unaccountability and impunity, then ideally RSS should have intervened not after the results. They should have intervened much before. That would have made a better sense. Now that the BJP has lost the mandate and they are stuck at 240, I don't see much point somebody coming and then BJP, because the model of governance that Mr. Modi presented in last 10 years is what I would say is the model of governance of the RSS, that it is infinite hunger for power without accountability. That RSS also needs to be made accountable, that because they were sharing power, and the repeated statement by Mr. Rahul Gandhi and other opposition leaders that RSS has been occupying most of the institutions. They have hijacked most institutions. Obviously, they have played a very significant role in the last 10 years of Modi governance. Then I see this more as the same model of not taking accountability, not being accountable to what has happened last 10 years, pushing the buck to someone else. And to tell you that this has been the model of governance, not just at the top, but right from the bottom. If you see the way institutions have worked in the last 10 years, including universities, this has been the model that people legislate, the legislations fail, they're counterproductive, but there is nobody to take accountability. So the accountability is pushed to someone else. Somebody has to stand up and say, look, I am responsible for what went wrong. The same is present in Mr. Modi's persona even now. After losing the mandate, he's still playing this larger than life kind of.
Professor Gudavarti, just
Yes.
allow me to interrupt you. Actually, what I wanted to ask you was, and why do you think that RSS is speaking up now? Because that is very important. Is this a mandate which has been, the mandate which the people have given is the mandate forcing RSS to speak up, and it's almost speaking like the opposition.
No, that's what I'm saying, that this is a red herring. I don't buy this argument that RSS is now taking accountability or reprimanding the BJP. The debate is being shifted between RSS versus BJP, BJP versus Yogi Adityanath, Modi versus Yogi Adityanath. This is a red herring because this is a Parivar. They have had share in part and they have to account where was RSS when 700 farmers lost their life. Now you cannot in retrospect come back and say that perhaps the government went wrong. If the RSS was serious in terms of the impunity that this regime has enjoyed in the last 10 years, then it should have ideally intervened much ahead. There is no point intervening now. Once having the mandate being lost, only shows that they are propagating the same model further of enjoying power without accountability. So I wish to rephrase your question and ask, why is
Right.
RSS not accountable? Why is that
Hmm.
RSS is standing now as an outsider and commenting on the regime? They have been part and parcel of this regime. Mr.
Right.
Modi is squarely the product of RSS training. So whatever Mr. Modi does, part of the blame has to be with RSS too. So this kind of high pedestal, grandstanding by the RSS, I feel is a way of shifting accountability to someone without themselves also needing to introspect that why their kind of training and ideological frame has led to this kind of an authoritarian model that runs with impunity without taking accountability for anything.
Hmm. All right. Now let me come to Professor Mukherjee now. Mridula ma'am, how do you really see this? Because everybody is saying that, now Modi has been weakened because of the mandate. So RSS has gathered courage to speak up. Earlier, everybody was saying that, somewhere BJP has grown bigger than the RSS. We didn't hear so many dissident voices within the RSS. But now, all of a sudden, immediately after the result, of course, there's one point in what Professor Gudavarti is saying, that this kind of a moral grandstanding is just like sharing power without accountability. One cannot dismiss that point, and one needs to ask those questions from RSS as well. But what do you think has really forced RSS to speak up now? Is it the weak mandate? Is it the weakening of the Modi factor? Or do they realize that they have to be seen on standing on the sides of the janta, the people, so they now need to speak up? What do you think is a major factor why they are speaking up now?
Let me begin by saying that I think that Ajay is making a very good point in that, to the extent that what's happening now shifts the attention away from the responsibility of the RSS, that it was a full partner in this government. If and for most of the time, you could have even said for a long time, the senior partner, and in certain areas very much so. Like, for example, we know in the field of education, to which both I and Ajay belong, that how much of the time it was clearly the RSS directly that was calling the shots. When it came to appointments, faculty appointments, vice chancellor's appointment, it was a open secret. I mean, this is not something that I have to do research to find out, but it was in a sense a street gossip, that you go and kowtow and go and do your salams at Jhandewala or at a Falana place in Delhi University, and then you'll get into the list of eligible people eligible for vice chancellorships and directorships. I mean, these used to be jokes even among those who participated in the process, who said, "Or kya kare, to karna hi padega," So it was so well known a thing. So I completely agree with Ajay on that count. However, I would like to add, the other aspects which you brought in, that this should not blind us to the fact that there is indeed a real power struggle that is going on between the RSS and the BJP. Because let's also recognize that RSS does not like competitors. It very much sees itself as the parent body, as the ideological kind of, what shall I say, the ideological core, and in that sense superior. All right. And don't forget that after Gandhi's assassination, when the Hindu Mahasabha came under a cloud and Savarkar came under a cloud, they immediately cut off all links of any kind, both with Savarkar and with the Hindu Mahasabha, you know, and in fact floated a new political party. Remember, it was Shama Prasad Mukherjee, who was one of the tallest leaders of the Hindu Mahasabha, in the legislative wing at least, who floats the Jansangh as a new party in place of the Hindu Mahasabha, which was there and which remained even today like little fringe element somewhere. So, what I'm saying is that let us not underestimate the RSS's power and its view of itself also. However, the fact of the matter is, and this is also well known, that the BJP, and much more so, it was Prime Minister Modi and his team, did certainly sideline the RSS in certain very important sectors. I think they gave them a free hand in some places, but in other places, very clearly they were sidelined. And certainly the whole manner of the building up of the image of Prime Minister Modi as an individual, you know, that is something which the RSS was never comfortable with because it goes against the grain of their whole ideology. They do believe in the Sangh, in the system as a whole, and they have their own way. The Sarv Sangh Chalak goes down from one to the next. The next person, the next person is appointed. They are not democratic by any means, but they are against this kind of projection of an individual like Mr. Modi as a supreme leader, which devalues the larger ideological project. They do not want the larger the ideological project of Hindu Rashtra to become supplanted or become secondary to the project of building up Prime Minister Modi as this great demagogue or whatever word you want to call it. So I think there are genuine tensions over there. I think we have enough evidence now from reporters and others who were out in the field to recognize that certainly at many places, may not everywhere, the RSS workers did go shy. They were not as enthusiastic. Some of them sat at home. Whether this was orders from above or whether it was tensions at local level, we are not in a position to. One can only surmise. And given these statements, it is possible that RSS never gives orders like that. Please remember, RSS is not an organization that lays down policy, that you can read their memoranda. There are no membership lists, there are no accounts. Orders are always given through word of mouth. So it's very difficult to prove any of those things, but this doesn't mean they don't happen. A hint given by the Sarv Sangha Chalak is like an order to a karyakarta. So if the chief gave some hints that they would not really mind if people were a little less enthusiastic than they are supposed to be, that would have gone down and their hierarchy in terms of messaging and its efficiency, do remember, is fantastic. They have the mechanism through which those messages can be sent down to the ground level. About the Yogi Adityanath, meeting and all that, I think we don't know yet what its import will be. But I think the very fact that it's happening and happening publicly, they have, after all, many ways of meeting secretly. They don't have to do it in public. So the very fact that they're going public on it is sending a message. And it's sending a message certainly to the quarters they want to send it to, which is the higher rungs of the BJP, clearly. And Adityanath ji is supposed to be a favorite of the Sangh. And that has been an issue between him and the top leadership of the BJP, including Mr. Modi and Shah. All these are well-known stories which any reporter familiar with UP will, regale you with over cups of tea or whatever else that you want to share with them. So the point is that, yes, I think we are not to underestimate also these tensions or the importance of these tensions, how they will play out. And certainly, I think the fact that BJP has been downsized, that Prime Minister Modi has been downsized by the electorate, has played a role in the RSS speaking up in public for two reasons. One, they are also now, they feel stronger to be able to send a message. And also, they want to send it in public because to an extent, they are covering their own back. They are trying, as Ajay said, to dissociate from this. If indeed the public is angry with Modi and the BJP, then they don't want that to come on them, just as they didn't want the Gandhi assassination taint to come on them, so they quickly distance themselves. So, by the way, this is also very much part of the RSS personality. You never, that was Savarkar's personality also. You don't take responsibility for your actions. This, like what he pointed out, this refusal to take accountability. Savarkar encouraged the Udham Singh also. He encouraged Godse also, but never come forward and take the responsibility. That's what's difference between a Bhagat Singh and a Savarkar.
Absolutely. No, one cannot dismiss, and quite important points now coming up in the course of the discussion. But as you rightly pointed out, that even Ratan Sharda's article, there's one line which clearly states that the mandate which has been given in 2024 is a reality check for the BJP workers who did not seek help from the RSS. There's one line in that article by Ratan Sharda. And just let me inform the viewers that I did try and calling up a number of RSS people. I wanted at least one of them to be for this show, but most of them were very evasive. They checked my messages on the WhatsApp. I've not got a response from them. I happened to speak to one person from the RSS on the phone, and I'm not going to share the name, but he said that the situation is very fluid and it wouldn't be appropriate on our part to speak up at this point of time. So let's wait for some time. That was a response I got from one of the RSS persons with whom I just spoke to on the phone before this show, just about an hour back, because I wanted them to be there as part of the show. But coming to you, Pushpraj, now that what is all this manifesting into? There is a power struggle. RSS is trying to shrug off its responsibilities, sharing the power without accountability, as what Ajay Gudavarti said. But what is all this going to play out into? Is RSS going to distance itself from the BJP, or RSS will distance itself from Modi and Shah? Now, is there a plan in the making that we'll prop up Yogi Adityanath, we'll try and phase out Modi and Shah? What does the plan look like? Of course, we can just speculate over it, but what will it play out eventually into?
Hi, Neeluji. With all due respect to our esteemed panelists, I have the greatest respect for them. But we are all right now like the three blind men and the elephant. We're all looking at this one giant story from different sides, and there is some truth to everything that we are saying, but we're not seeing the whole picture. Now, I want to start with that caveat that I myself would not be the best person to know the whole story, because the RSS, as Mridula ma'am was saying, is extremely secretive, works behind the scenes, speaks in riddles. It is not the most transparent organization. It is perhaps the most opaque organization that we have right now. So with that caveat, let me say 2-3 things. Firstly, I don't think, as Professor Gudavarti was saying, I don't think there is any ideological dissonance between the BJP and the RSS. The BJP has fulfilled its agenda, is a core ideological agenda, othering of minorities, on Ram Mandir, on the CA NRC thing, on mob lynchings, and a bunch of other things also. They've started the UCC conversation. They've talked about removing secularism and socialism from the constitution. So in a sense, there is no ideological dissonance. However, I agree with both of them on the fact that there is an intense power struggle. The RSS wants to control not just the levers of power in the BJP, but also in government. And that is where I think that they have a problem with both the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. They don't have a problem with the BJP as a whole, which they continue to view as their preferred political wing. But they are also very aware of the fact that the Prime Minister and the Home Minister don't toe their line. Now, I'll give you a few examples to sort of to let your viewers understand this. Where I disagree with Professor Gudavarti is that they have not started making this dissension kind of statements now. In October 2021, the organizer editorial, not an article from which they could have distanced themselves. The editorial said that the BJP is seriously on a wrong path, and the Congress party needs to revive itself. The Congress could be a possible option for the RSS. And I'm saying this with the greatest responsibility, because I have that editorial with me. I'm happy to share it with our panelists and you for your viewers. That was followed by another article next month in November 2021 in the Panchajanya, which said the precise same thing. The editorial said this. 3 months later, Bhaiyaji Joshi publicly said on a platform, Bhaiyaji Joshi, of course, is number 3 or 4 in the RSS, He said that the BJP is not the only Hindu party that represents Hindus and that that deserves the RSS support. In that context, he alluded to the Aam Aadmi Party. He even went so far as to say that if the Congress Party mends its ways and begins to start promoting the aspirations of Hindus, we have no qualms in supporting it. This was in 2021 and 2022. After that, if you remember, the Amit Shah and Modi have effected, sorry for the ambient noise, have effected a number of reshuffles, three reshuffles in the BJP. 1,450 plus people have been shuffled around across the states in the BJP. Of that, they have accommodated only about 150 RSS people. Go on to the state cabinets. There are 6 portfolios that the RSS has always asked for in every BJP government or Jansangh government. They've asked for home, revenue, culture, social justice, education, higher education. These are the 6 portfolios that they asked for. And these are people, they ask that these are manned by people who are from the RSS. In the last 10 years, the BJP, run by Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah, have refused to give these 6 portfolios to people from the RSS. Now, that is a very significant thing. And finally, originally the RSS used to place its OSDs with ministers so it could keep a tight grip on what is happening. Now, these OSDs are being selected and screened and report directly to the PMO, not the RSS. So understand, there is a structural shift in governance. What the BJP under Modi and Amit Shah have started doing is leveraging the state increasingly to effect its agenda, its political agenda. They don't rely on the RSS. That's the one shift that we are not recognizing. And that is why they are stuffing the state with so many of their people. That's one thing. And the second thing is, increasingly, they don't rely on the party organization, the RSS organization to take their message to the last mile. Increasingly, they use this resource intensive propaganda machinery, which has the Association for Billion Minds, the PMO, the bureaucracy, sections of the media, and all of this is fueled by their suit boot friends. So understand, there is a structural shift in how they are communicating, how they are planning and executing their strategies and message, and who they're relying on. Now, given this structural shift, what they are beginning to do, and here I agree with Professor Gudavardi, they are being purely opportunistic, the RSS. They have not changed their ideology. They have not given up their core agenda. They are not suddenly, it's not like they did not see what is happening in Manipur. They have over 100 organizations working in Manipur doing whatever they are doing. But the point is that they have taken this, it's in Hindi, there is this kahawa, chance pe dance. They have used this opportunity when the BJP has got a death blow, not a death blow, but have got a black eye. And they've used this opportunity to do what they've already been doing. In this election, I know for a fact on the ground, and any India party leader will attest to this, the RSS did not campaign. Plus, the modified BJP, the BJP that is loyal to Modi, actually campaigned against candidates backed by the RSS. 35 candidates in UP were denied tickets because they were backed by Yogi Adityanath. He was instrumental in ensuring that 26 of those 35, the BJP did not win. The same thing happened in Rajasthan. The same thing happened in Maharashtra. The RSS right now is split in the middle. There is a faction within the RSS, like in Karnataka, BL Santosh and others, who ally themselves to Modi, who see that, this is a good way for us to get into the state power, to enjoy the privileges from the state patronage. And there is this other old school RSS, which is saying that, boss, we are the ones who should control this. Now, this all is coming to a head in 2025 when the RSS turns 100. Next year is RSS's 100th year, centenary year. At this juncture, rather than enjoying the privileges of being at the center and in many states, the RSS is today just an NGO. And that is what is irking them. So they are deliberately fueling and prodding alternative power centers. It's not just Yogi Adityanath. It is also Nitin Gadkari. It is also Fadnavis. There is also Shivraj Chauhan. There is also Vasundhara Raje. They are deliberately fomenting rebellion, not because they want to give up on the BJP, not because they want to give up on their ideological agenda, but because in their exact words, and I'm saying this because many of them joined the Bharat Jodo Yatra and they said this, they want to remove these two demons. And in Hindi, they said, in dono rakshashon ko kuch bhi karke hatana hai. Anything to remove these two, this thing. Now, my limited point in this is, let them do whatever they want to. And I'll stop after that I make this point. Progressive parties and progressive forces, need to understand that we are not running NGOs. We are not running. We are not running an NGO which is completely like the horse's blinkers needs to be guided only by what we stand for and what our values are. We are in a war. This is an ideological war, and we need to exploit any fault line that we are given. In Hindi there is a Sanskrit, there is a kahavat, right? Sam, dam, danda, bhed. We need to do everything possible and exploit every possible fault line to win this war. If there is even a 1% chance that there is truth to what is happening between them, between the RSS and the modified BJP, we need to capitalize on that fault line and exacerbate it so that we are able to win these, not just the elections, but also the ideological war. Because that is what the battle is, not the elections, but the ideological war.
Right. I'll come to you, Professor Gudavarti. Then, of course, there is a meeting between Bhagwat and Yogi. Then, what if Bhagwat meets other leaders like Shivraj, Vasundhara? But ultimately, what is RSS's objective now that with a lesser mandate, Modi is there as the prime minister? So, what are the main goals which RSS will look at? Will it look at phasing out Modi? Will it look at some kind of a replacement? Or is it looking at keeping a tight leash on Modi and Shah both? What is the ultimate goal now of the RSS? Now that they are split, they know that they've got a chance to pounce back on Modi. But what is their ultimate goal according to you?
Look, to answer your question, Nilu, you have to phrase it other way around. That had BJP got 300 plus mandate, what would have been RSS role? That is a question we have to address. And RSS would have squarely gone with Modi, and you would have gone with that hyperbolic discourse of Viksit Bharat, and they would have gone with resurgent Hindu nation. They wouldn't have raised any of these points that today they are putting forth on table. So the first point is that we need to understand that hegemon has enough power to recalibrate his strategy, and these internal differences, even as they stand important in terms of immediate strategy. Caravan carried an entire special issue on this aspect where they mapped in great detail how Mr. Modi kind of almost swallowed up the RSS. He had a lot of money flowing for RSS cadre. They were on high payrolls of Mr. Modi, and Mr. Mohan Bhagwat himself. Now, this can be one story. Strategically, it's important, but that should not allow us to be blind towards the central question that we need to raise in discourse in India. Is Mr. Modi, his model of governance and the policy outcome is that of the RSS. There is no difference between the two. That this drawing of organizational conflicts, individual conflicts between Yogi and Modi, and in fact RSS and BJP, as you might be knowing, are meeting on August 31st, September 2nd in Goa for a 3-day convention where both BJP and RSS are coming together. So they are squarely together. So what does this, is it an internal critique? We need to have a clarity. Is it that they're offering a public discourse to be critical of what BJP and Modi has done? Are they asking the electorate not to vote back Mr. Modi? What is the messaging? Already you know that Mr. Mohan Bhagwat had retracted. He said, my comments are not about Modi. Mr. Indresh has retracted. He said, this is not about this is in a larger context. Exactly. So we need to know this is a standard technique of the RSS since the days of Jansang. It goes back to Godse and Savarkar himself. And even during Mr. Vajpayee's regime, that much of media attention was based on RSS versus Vajpayee. So I refuse to enter this debate. I don't think that is a central debate that is of any importance to Indian democracy. Because both of them at the end of the day come together. And this, I see it as a part of strategy to revive the dwindling credibility of Modi. And Mr. Modi's credibility today is in crisis because of both his authoritarian model as well as his crass neoliberal privatizing, going against agriculture, going against farmers, going against almost all vulnerable groups. Is RSS speaking anything on that front? Is RSS saying that, look, Mr. Modi's neoliberal model is quote unquote Western colonial policy. This is not part of Bharatiya culture. Bharatiya culture is about, let's say, some kind of a collective agriculture. Are they saying anything to that effect? No. Are they making any serious intervention on Mr. Modi's policy front? No. Have they made any serious comment on Mr. Modi's model of governance for last 10 years. There has been media capture, institutions have been occupied, there has been shrinking democratic space, we have dropped on the democracy, we have dropped on the media freedom index globally. Have they said anything? In fact, they said that human rights is an Western category and things of that kind. So even as I don't think media debate should be focused, because it makes for an interesting story. Who is fighting with whom, and Yogi is up for. This is all strategic. We can discuss, but I don't think we should lose focus of the central issue that Modi and RSS at the end of the day on policy front and overall model of an authoritarian form of governance are together. Therefore, our public intervention should be that to make RSS more accountable. Why are they don't have a registered list? Why are their accounts, financial accounts, not being accounted for? What is the accountability that the RSS leaders themselves take? Now they own Mr. Modi as part of RSS, but when he goes wrong, they say that this unquote arrogance. And in fact, they have also reprimanded the opposition. You made the point about Congress. They said at some article that they would support Congress, but they also said Congress is an anti-Ram force, or all opposition are anti-Ram. So they continue with their majoritarian agenda, continue this kind of polarized agenda. In democracy, we can't afford this kind of depolarization. So I see this kind of internal squabble being played out in the public, which they can very well do. If they are mostly secretive, why is there posturing in public domain? They can always be on these dialogues internal, behind the scenes. They precisely do this because they want to soften and moderate public criticism of what is. So I see it as a complete red herring, and I don't think we should be part of that drama.
Right. All right. So, yes, Pushpa, you're making a point. You raised your hand.
No, I'm just making a very limited point in response to Professor Godavardi's comment. See, I agree with the fact that yes, perhaps there is no larger difference between them about A, their agenda, and B, the authoritarian nature of their politics and the state. I think that the limited point I'm making is purely strategically that the RSS and the BJP are, I think, locked in a struggle for control over the state apparatus. That is what the limited point is, which is why the RSS is not really particularly focused on the kind of agenda that leaves a vacuum for progressives to enter. So, for instance, increasingly, I feel that the focus on the education or the focus on films, the focus on books is going to dilute. I feel that that is just one part of it, and there are many other things also there, because I think that they feel that Prime Minister Modi is doing all of those things through the state apparatus. So, for instance, I'll give you one example. There is this Prime Minister's Yuva Nidhi. I'm not sure what it is called. Prime Minister Yuva Yojana, but basically it promotes young authors to talk about to write revisionist and cultural stories from India. Now the point is, RSS has typically done this on its own. It has done this bottom-up insurgency kind of guerrilla warfare, the plethora of organizations. Now that the state is doing it, they increasingly feel the need to do that. From a programmatic point of view, for progressives, what happens is that because they are locked in a struggle for the control over the state, we need to now focus on the space that they are vacating. Not entirely, but there is a vacuum there that progressives need to programmatically fill. That is one thing. And I want to again draw back to an analogy from history. When the Nazi state was in existence, Hitler was at its peak of its power. Hitler was at his peak of the power. There was a struggle between Reinhard and Himmler and Goring on the other hand, for control over the state policy, for control over the state apparatus. They were not at all any different from, they did not differ on pandering to the Nazi ideology. They did not differ on control over the state apparatus. But the fact that they were fighting for control over the state gave room for people like Stauffenberg and others to operate. Now, what I'm saying is some progressives are within the state, some progressives are outside the state. That fight gives us an opportunity for us to do programmatically further our agenda. That is what the limited point I'm making in response to Professor Godavardi.
All right. Now I'll come for the concluding remarks to you, Professor Mukherjee. So at the end of the day, it does look like a power struggle internally. But an important point which Professor Gudavardi made, that it's a red herring. But the point is that is this deliberate confusion being played out by the RSS so that the pressing matters, whether it is inflation, whether it's price rise, whether unemployment. Now, because those are the issues which are staring at the face, and nobody would talk about it, because I was on another discussion on another platform in the morning where these points came up, that this looks like an attention diverter. RSS deliberately doing this, to deliberately playing out this confusion so that people don't talk about those pressing issues. You'll have to unmute, ma'am. You'll have to unmute, ma'am. Yeah.
I mean, given our broader understanding of the RSS and the RSS BJP relationship, RSS Johnson relationship, it would be and at some point, in some ways, tempting to come to that conclusion. I think somehow my understanding today is that the game that was being played has gone too far on the part of the top leadership. And it's not Mr. Modi and whoever is very close to him, Amit Shah, we know, but whoever else may be part of that. And as Pushpraj said, there may well be people within the RSS who are part of that game. But I think what's clearly happened is that someone like Mohan Bhagwat and others who are, clearly do not see this, and they are in no mood to take this, what they see as an affront to their positions, uh, not they are not they're in no mood to take that silently. So while there would be, I think it is very important to not let this become a diversion. I personally think that it would be also not wise on our parts to ignore the substantial reality in this context that's going on. Because, yes, elites do hang together, ideological groupings do hang together. In the larger sense, yes, Ajay, I completely agree with you. But there are times when the intra elite conflicts become very sharp. Power is something, and let's remember one thing, this is the longest that they've been in power. Under Bajpayee, it was 5 years and then they were out while they were just getting in, and now they've been there for another 10 years. So they've learned, and the power struggles are now over now very substantive things like money, resources, positions, which were not there earlier. Even the cadre on both BJP and RSS have got used to the good life. I mean, my God, just look at their dresses on television, the colors of the jackets and the designer clothes. And I'm sure, so power does corrupt, everybody, so as the saying goes, they used to say earlier, that the BJP is now becoming more like the Congress, And so what I mean is that, there is a truism there. And when these things happen over a prolonged period of time, people are actually fight. It is not just now a battle for ideology, it's become much more. And
Absolutely.
there may be some people for whom still the ideology is primary. This doesn't justify their ideology in my eyes. I think it's the most pernicious ideology,
No, no,
you know.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and I'd rather have it tempered by power than unalloyed. Easier to fight if it is tempered by love of power and profit than when it is pure idealistic ideology. So from that point of view, it's a battle becomes easier because there is not that halo of austerity and this and that. But surely we must concede that there can be and are people within the RSS who still do hold to their old way of life and who find that those changes also, those questioning and the I mean, let's remember this, that the typical RSS worker and leader did not marry, He lived in the RSS office. In Jhandewala, the leaders who were there, their office and their residence was in that same one room or two rooms, which they shared with others. All right. When they went on tour, they stayed at the homes of other RSS workers. Did not stay in hotel. I'm not saying that this therefore makes them great. I think what's wrong and what we are critical of is their way of thinking, you know. But certainly with that kind of austerity and the lifestyle, they think they certainly got an aura, of idealism. Now, to that extent, I think we must recognize that real changes have taken place with the proximity to power within these circles, you know, and enough people within the who were from RSS. You of course know that RSS formally lends RSS functionaries into the BJP network. The general secretary is always RSS, so and so is always RSS, apart from the other more pervasive things. But formally, they are lent officially to the BJP as they were to the Jansang earlier, to control and whatever ideology, to keep the ideological purity, of the governments. Now, when that happens, and as I said, it happens for so long, and when the example is set by the top leadership itself, I mean, if there's nothing wrong with as I said, the top leadership changing their clothes 5 times a day, no, then what? That's just a good message which everybody down the line says, okay, I can also have my pink and green jacket and, nice designer clothes and shoes. If people can talk about so and so wearing shoes costing so many lakhs and so having mushrooms, this, that, I mean, those messages are not lost down the line. So, I mean, I think that there's some real things happening there, which, as Pushpa is reminding us, we need to keep in focus, while we keep the larger picture, which I completely agree with. We should
Yeah.
not get therefore derailed.
Yes. Pushpraj, you want to say something? Then I'll wind up. Yeah.
No, just one line to add to what ma'am was saying. See, there was a time when the Congress system was the mainstream and the RSS was the insurgency. Today is the exact opposite. Today, the RSS and the BJP are the mainstream and we are the insurgency, the political and the cultural insurgency. And the fact of the matter is that they are battling for precisely the same kind of, they are going through the same kind of problems that the Congress did in the 90s. Of course, they have managed to do what the Congress did in 60 years, in 10 years. So I think that if we are able to get our act, we'll be able to deliver a death blow to their ideology. That's that's what we should be focusing on. Because if we are actually able to do it, I genuinely feel that there is a real chance that the BJP will not be back for the next 15, 20 years if we work tactically now.
But we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold. But after this interesting discussion, all I can say is that if Modi's accountability is being asked for, then RSS cannot shrug off those responsibilities. And of course, as what ma'am said, that this halo of austerity, this halo of purity which they are wearing, that also has somewhere down the line got ruptured. And we need to ask those hard questions from the RSS as well. Thank you so much, Professor Gudabardi, Professor Mukherjee, Pushpraj. Thank you so much for joining. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.